And basically what it's going to be is a little, because basically we've just got basically, how many more times can I say basically? Hey everyone, it's me Catherine, and today I am here to bring you yet another reading vlog. This is like a mini reading vlog, This is like a mini reading vlog though. Hopefully gonna keep it majority spoiler free. Like I might spoil like tiny little insignificant things, but I am going to keep this majority spoiler free, unlike my manga vlogs, if you've ever watched those, which are major spoilers. So like a while ago, a long time ago, a few years ago, I had this idea to do a series where I reread a lot of books I read either before I started YouTube or early in my booktube days, and just to see how I've changed, and basically how I've changed as a reader, how I've grown as a reader, if I've grown. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have. Like, it's been a long time since, it's been over 10 years actually since I started booktube, so I'd like to think my reading tastes have changed. And we're starting off not too long ago actually. This one was from 2018, I believe, which was when I was deep in my depression. It was real bad in 2018, and I have already started it. It is Autonomous by Annalee Newitz. I probably should have looked that up because I was so sure it was Newitz until I went to say it then, and now I'm not so confident. I read this, believe this is their debut. I read this. I remember when I read it, it was summer. I was on my way back from London when I finished it with my mum, because we went to London for the weekend while I went to do my JLPT test back when I was still keeping up with my Japanese. And I read it and I remember enjoying it, and it was only a small part of this that I remembered, and I realised when I started it that I actually remembered absolutely zero about the plot, and the only thing I remembered was this thing with the robot, like a military robot, and his assigned human, the guy he was working with to do whatever they were thingy for. That is literally all I remembered. So I started reading this and I was like, actually I remember zero about this. But I have started it. I have read a little bit of the way, and I'd like to say it's all coming back, but it's really not. It's like I'm reading it again for the first time, which is not an experience I've ever had, so I'm not going to go too deep into this. For the intro, I will get more into it when I've read, maybe when I've read a little bit more, I will talk about some of my thoughts. But for now, yes, this was just the intro, so I'm going to hopefully do some more of these. This is going to be the first one, so like a whole series of rereads where I take you on my journey while I reread them, and hopefully, fingers crossed, to keep them spoiler free and fairly short. I don't want them to be super long, and without spoilers. It should be fairly simple. So I'll see you for the update. Okay, so I fully intended to get back with that update last night, but by the time, because my sister came round for tea, and by the time she left, I went to bed. When she got it, just went straight to bed. So here is what should have been yesterday's update, and well, essentially I've just got the beginning, so we're basically just dipping into what this book is about, which is we're following Jack, who is a pirate, and what she does is she takes the drugs from like big pharma companies, reverse engineers them, breaks them, I think that's what it's called when you break it down, figures out how it's put together, and then she makes her own on the cheap, and then she helps obviously a lot of people who can't afford big pharma prices for these life-saving drugs. In order to earn a bit of quick money, she did something she doesn't usually do. She made a mistake. she got her hands on this sort of productivity drug that has not been released in the market yet, and the side effects had never been made public, and she sold it to get some quick money to help her to make the life-saving drugs, only this drug has ended up in people dying because it's got very, very severe side effects of addiction. Addictive side effects. Well, the side effects aren't addictive, but the side effects are, well, I guess the addictive is the side effect, but it's, you know what I mean. So we have her trying to fix this mistake, and try to, while fixing a mistake, also turn it into a way to take down, or like at least to do some serious damage to the pharma company who made the drug and intends to sell it. And then we have Paladin, who is a military bot, and we follow him. He works for the government or whatever. I'm going to say the government because I can't remember. Is it the IPC? I can't remember what it stands for. Basically, he's an indentured robot, military robot, and we follow him and his human military agent partner, Elias, as they are trying to track down Jack and bring her in to answer for her crimes. So this whole book is, at least obviously just from the beginning, it's about it's called Autonomous, and it is about autonomy. And because we have Jack, who is anti-patent, she's anti-patent, she's anti the big pharma companies, and so this is why she's doing what she's doing, so that the people that don't have the money can still get the medicine and the drugs that they need to live the lives that, you know, to live decent, like, I was going to say health-free, but that's not that's not the word. Healthy, like, so they have the drugs to deal with what they're, you know, so that they have these drugs so that they can continue on with their lives, and they're not indebted to these big pharma companies, and they can get on with their lives and do what they do without going into massive debt or dying because they just literally don't have anything to pay for these drugs. And then we have Paladin, who is an indentured robot, and indentured means, obviously, I mean, indentured implies that eventually he will work for his freedom, but there is some implications that usually means that that's very rarely the actual case. There's always some delay in them getting the key to their own autonomy. That's redundant, right? To their autonomy. But so we're following Paladin, and he has no autonomy in that sense, but Paladin is sort of, with Paladin we're exploring a different side, and we're exploring sexuality with this bot, with Paladin, which is another interesting, like, sort of add-on to this, because it's all about, at least I guess very simply, very shallow, very simply, it's about ownership and what people think they're entitled to own, and what the people who are owned, in whatever way, whether it be their health, their potential health, their deaths or whatever, or whether it be like their working life and their other, you know, their living life. And then also we have sexuality and how you can, I should probably Google the word autonomy, but sort of like there's ways in which Paladin is owned and is expected to be, and then obviously we have him sort of breaking into uncharted territory, and we're exploring that. And obviously I'm going to keep that as far as it goes for like spoilers. I will put a little warning here though, for like content warning, potential trigger warning, for we have use of the F word, you know, the one that rhymes with maggot, and that was a little bit of a shock to the system. So there is use of that word, and it does come up in a concentrated area, so just be aware of that. And there is some potentially internalized / externalized homophobia within Paladin's sections, so keep an eye out for that. And also, I don't know how old Jack is, but it is implied that she is not in her youth, and it is implied that she takes part in sexual activities with not a minor, but he is only 20 years old. I think we later find out only 20 years old, so there is a bit of an age gap, which doesn't bother me. It's not, I know there's a lot of people that don't like large age gaps, so it's not a focus. It does happen, so that's why it's just like a content warning, just a little, hey, just keep your eye out for that. There is also some violence within Paladin's chapters. I mean, I guess within Jack's chapters as well, there is a little bit of violence. I wouldn't say it's particularly gory, but it is there. So again, that's another thing to just keep in mind if you consider picking this up. I'm amazed at how much I've forgotten. I'm amazed at how much I've forgotten, because pretty much everything that I remember from this, literally everything I remember it, is Paladin, and not even like the main story, just the whole sexuality thing, because that was the bit that sort of sat a bit funny with me the first time I read it. So I'll be very interested to read it now and see what thoughts I have, and hopefully try and bring them together coherently and spoiler free, because I think I've said all the spoilers that I want to, like, because they're not major. I've not spoiled anything major. So yeah, I'll be back to check in a bit later on. Okay, just a quick update. I don't know if anybody else gets this when they read books, but you read a book that makes you want to do things. It makes you want to get super stuck into the things that you enjoy, and like just sort of like fuck around and play around and do a million and one things, and like really try and make something of something, whether it be like your career or just a hobby that you really enjoy or something. And it's just it's one of those where you can feel the characters' love for the things that they do, and this and see them enjoying it, and it just makes you feel that sort of, or like you see characters doing things that they're trying to do good. They're trying to do good things, great things, or maybe even not even that, maybe just like, I don't know, just trying to see what they can do, and it makes you feel like doing things. And it's hard for me to stay motivated to do the things that I want to do, especially now that I'm working, like I have a proper job, like I say a proper job, I have a job now, which I haven't had. I was like unemployed during the pandemic, and then for a year or whatever, however, I don't remember, the pandemic officially ended, but then I was unemployed again still, and it is definitely taking its toll on me. So it's just nice to read something. And to be fair though, I have been reading, like the fact that I've been getting back into reading, which is so nice, and just getting proper stuck into it, and just reading and thinking about things, and then reading a book that makes you want to think about things, is just, it's good. It's really good, and I'm enjoying these characters and rediscovering my enjoyment of this book, my love for these characters and what they're going through. And like, I don't know if I'm starting to get like little hints of memories back of what's about to happen, or whether I'm just being suspicious, and I was suspicious this time last time. I don't know, but I feel like a memory has been triggered, and I don't know if it's just me making things up or not, but we'll find out when I get. I won't spoil it, but I will let you know if I remember, if my thoughts were correct. But yeah, no, just a quick update this time. My bum was going numb sitting on the step because I'm at my auntie's, and she doesn't really have like an outdoor seat. She has a bench on her back garden, but it's very wobbly, and she has advised me not to sit on it, so I just have to make do on her porch. And then there's some steps in the back garden that I will test out for comfort maybe later. But yeah, so check back in a bit. Okay, so last update for the day. Also, actually this should also come with a, this whole video should come with a content warning for awkwardly filmed B-roll. Camera, please just hold out for a sec, battery. Because I've like tried filming like when I'm like outside and like visible to other people, and I just cannot get over that awkwardness, so I just sort of place the camera so I'm vaguely in the frame and then just go from there. But last update, I'm gonna have to be very quick. But yeah, so this is another content warning actually for that age gap I mentioned, because I think it could potentially be dubious consent, so just bear that in mind as you're going into it. But yeah, so like nothing's okay. So final update, I have finished Autonomous. I did intend to have an update before the end, which if I actually put the clip in, I did start, but then the battery on my camera died and it was already late in the evening, so then I went to bed. I had work early in the morning, and I've had work the past couple of days, and I just haven't had the energy after work to like put my thoughts to words, verbal words. I like made some quick notes as I was reading, and I finished it. And yes, honestly, past me, the me that first read it, even though I remembered basically nothing, the suspicions I had were both wrong and correct at the same time. I was mostly wrong, but there was some correctness, some right about what my brain was, but I didn't remember any of the specifics, and it was almost like reading it for the first time again, but not quite, because I had weird vibes from it. It's sort of like going somewhere that I guess it's sort of like experiencing deja vu. It's that sort of feeling, except not. God, I'm so eloquent. But yeah, so I finished it and it is really good, and because it's there are some ways I wish it could have expanded more, like towards the end, because usually we have, it's either just Jacks or just Paladins. They're like the two main characters, and then we have like the side characters, and we do get a couple of smaller chapters from a couple of side characters, and like towards the end, like I say side characters, Elias is quite a big part of Paladin's life, but it's only towards the end that we get a couple of chapters from his perspective, and I think I would have liked a little more from his side, a little dig into him, but I guess he wasn't really the important thing. It was Paladin and Paladin's life as a bot, and experiencing sexuality and gender sort of identity, whereas as a bot, like, bots don't have that. They are just what they are, and then they have a name assigned to them and a gender like put on them based on how they were made and what like the humans decided, but it's not actually a gender because bots don't have gender. And sort of like, but again, it's because it's split across two, and that's not the plot of this is about the drugs and the pirating of drugs and how it's caused deaths, and trying to take down this big pharma company or whatever, or like to at least deal them a little bit of damage, and the things that they are willing to do, and that the people that they are under their pay role are willing to do to get that sorted. And we also, like, from Elias's perspective, we also get a little look into like his thinking and how he wanted something a little more black and white, because he had a previous job and now he has this one, and he wanted something a little more black and white. And apparently identity, patent, whatever, I can't remember, IP, whatever it is, law was like either it is or it isn't, and then, you know, he got to do his thing or whatever, and it's just very brushed over. And I think I would have liked more detail, but at the same time I sort of like that there isn't a lot, because it's just sort of like a glimpse. It's just sort of like, this is these people's lives, this is what they're doing, this is how this is going, this is, you know, and it's not all wrapped up. We don't get it all sorted out, and nothing's fixed, I guess, like quote unquote fixed. Nothing is that at the end, but we have some sort of results. There are results, there are consequences, there is things that happen, and it's good. I really enjoyed it, and again, because I'd forgotten pretty much all of this for most of it, it was sort of like reading it for the first time again and not knowing what was going to happen, and so it wasn't really, probably not the best book for the first book for this vlog series of, you know, rereads and seeing what Past Me and how much Past Me's reading changed. I remember Past Me, the thing that I did remember Past Me having a real, it was mostly to do with Paladin section. I think that's why I remembered certain bits of Paladin's bit, because those were the bits that I was sort of like, that sort of stuck with me, and this sort of, I was like thinking like, but is this okay? Is this, but now coming back to it now, I think it was never about it being okay or not okay. It was just about it being sort of the way this had to go this time, and because there were things that we weren't dealing with and probably won't deal with, and because this is just this, so we won't ever deal with it. So it's just sort of like, I would, if I had the time and the energy, which I currently don't, because being employed, like, listen, earning money, like having a stable income is great. Actually, the work itself, like, I don't mind my job, but I hate it. I hate it so much. But it is how it goes. So like, but yeah, no, if I didn't have a job, or I wasn't like, if I worked for myself, I would probably, I'd be able to make the time to sit down and read through this and do like a proper like discussion video for this, because it is a book that I think could be discussed, and I would like to reread it again and definitely make notes now that I'm not reading it to sort of like refresh my memory. Read it with a deeper look at it, a purpose to like mark it. I only have one thingy in it, and it's because they mentioned Nestle, and I don't know if that sort of went over my head the first time I read it, but seeing it now, like, of course Nestle got itself involved in, I don't know if it even is involved. I don't know all of the areas that Nestle has their fingers in, but weapons being one of them would not surprise me, and especially not if they like doubled down on that in the future, to where it was they used their I don't know if they do use their logo on it, but you know what I mean, like, there's a lot of things I'm ignorant about. But yes, Autonomous is good. I don't know how, and because of how this week has gone and how tired I am, and because I haven't been able to like update, I don't know how well this has gone as a vlog, how well this is going to put together as a vlog, but I guess because it's a little more on the fly, like my thoughts are literally just this, sort of, which is why it's a little bit of a mess, and this last update especially is a little bit of a mess, but it's good. It's good. And if you're looking for some like sci-fi that's set, it's on our world, it's our world, like 100 years, I think it's in the year 2144, so 120 years into the future, and it's our world, but obviously it's changed. There's a lot of differences and a lot of things that are still unfortunately the same, just now with more technology applied to it. And yeah, there's a lot of things that are just sort of like mentioned, and things that are just sort of accepted, and things that I liked it, and it would have been nice to have more in depth about a lot of things, but this wasn't that book. It was just sort of, I don't have the words for it. I do not have the words for it. But this isn't the story for that. I mean, it is, but it also isn't. It wasn't, I mean, you can't focus on everything, and it's just sort of there, this is the way of life, and it sort of does all link in. So I'm at my aunt's, and she's got this Looney Tunes clock. She's had it for as long as I can remember, so the fact that it still works, so I don't know if the camera picked that up, but it's 1 o'clock. So yeah, but it's just, I don't know how much more, oh, and the screen things come on, I don't know how much more I can say, except that it is good, and it is, but no, if you want, it's sci-fi that's recognizable, and it's the sort of sci-fi that you can imagine, and it's a world that you know, but it's 100 years in the future, so it's just our world, but more technologically advanced. Like, obviously there's different changes, the world's grown, the world has, or shrunk, it's sort of, I guess one idea of where the world will go if we carry on with the... I mean, I don't know how technology is actually going to, no one knows how technology is actually going to evolve, so that's probably a little, but actually the actual people and the governments and how things have developed, like, it's pretty much, you could believe it. You could absolutely 100% believe it. And yeah, I mean, that's all I got. So because I remembered very little from my first reading, I don't really have much to add on the thoughts of that. So again, not the ideal first book for this reread vlog series, but also I guess we could have had a worse one. So I don't know what will be next on this. I've got a little list. I've got a list that I've added to, so we'll have a look, see what's what. But yeah, so that is it. So thank you so much for watching. Do let me know if you've read Autonomous in the comments below, and if you know any other books like this, like sci-fi specifically, that I would enjoy. If you know of any that are like Autonomous, I would very much enjoy some more recommendations. But that is going to be it from me, so thank you so much for watching. I will hopefully be back with another video soon, but until then, take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and I will hopefully see you in another video soon. Bye bye.